All right, welcome back. This is episode 203 of Chaotically Intolerant. I think on 202 I said 203 at the beginning. We're going to talk a little NFL draft. We're going to talk a little Shador Sanders. And then we're just going to jump right into baseball. We're also introducing a new member to the Chaotically Intolerant team right on the other side of the intro. But make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Let's go. Okay. All right, Mike. Well, let's introduce our new member. She's sitting at my feet right now. This is Cara. Oh, come here. She's not going to face the camera. I think she's a little camera shy, but she is going to be the new de facto mascot. Just kind of constant presence. But she's awesome. We just adopted her from the Humane Society last week. I definitely recommend if you're going to get a dog, go get him from the Humane Society. Go get him from the shelter. Yeah. Go adopt at the Humane Society. Go adopt at whatever shelter you have because they have dogs that need homes. And Cara is awesome. She is just the best dog already. She doesn't make noise, which we wouldn't mind if she made noise, but she doesn't. She doesn't really, do any of that stuff. She's well-trained, came preloaded with a bunch of commands. She already knows sit and stay and doesn't even pee in the house, doesn't poop in the house. She's pretty awesome. So if you want an awesome dog, don't go to a breeder. Go to the Humane Society. Check those out. Another thing of mention, I guess, the NFL draft happened. Felt like one of the least exciting drafts in recent memory, right? Like even I think it was 22 when there wasn't a quarterback taken in the first round, or maybe there was one quarterback taken in the first round. It was still a little more exciting. This year, I felt like there was nothing to be excited about, even though I was a little excited.
I don't know why. Doesn't it just feel like each year it gets less and less exciting? It used to be 2 days. It used to be on the weekends, and it was kind of an all-day thing, and it was fun. I guess it makes more sense to do it in prime time, but again, any moves the NFL has made over the years to sort of try to maximize revenue, a lot of them, in my opinion, like Thursday Night Football, for example, and that whole Time Warner struggle, have backfired. So I don't know if that's a factor because it has been in prime time for a while now. I'm not sure exactly how long, but maybe just the fact that we were hearing the quarterbacks weren't, it wasn't a big quarterback draft. I mean, everybody's hyped when it's quarterbacks. They have all these teams that need them. And the fact that a prank is the most noteworthy thing that happened is probably pretty telling about the state of this year's draft.
Yeah, I'm gonna say I think I don't think there should be fines for that. I think his son should have to face the repercussions for that, unless the Falcons and Jeff Ulbrich were instrumental in get like that. Basically, if they told him, "Hey, like go prank call Shador," I would say, okay, fine him, but I think that's kind of stupid to fine them because the kid is he's a stupid college kid. Why are you going to blame the parents for something like that? He's an adult. He can make his own decisions at this point.
Right. I mean, we're not talking about a heinous crime here or anything.
It was a prank call. Let's chill out.
Very immature and very thoughtless, for sure. And absolutely, he should be, reprimanded, and then there should be some repercussions. But thankfully, we're not talking about some kind of terrible thing that happened or scandal. Still a prank at the end of the day, right? Kids.
Yeah.
Not to excuse it anyways, but it is dumb kid being a dumb kid, I guess, or having a dumb moment. I don't want to say he's even a dumb kid, but he did a dumb thing.
Yeah. I know. So the whole Shador thing, I don't really think there's really all that much to talk about. I think it's been rehashed. But are we shocked that it happened? I wasn't shocked that he slipped past the first round. I thought there's a real good chance he could just slip because there's been a lot of criticism about his game and the locker room issues and his dad obviously being somewhat of an issue. But I didn't really think the fifth round. I thought the fifth round was pretty crazy to slip all the way that far.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, in a draft where a lot of teams needed quarterbacks, in theory, you would have thought, okay, by the time he gets to second round, I mean, someone's like, hey, we got a first round guy in the second round.
Even the third round, still good value.
Sure. I mean, Russell Wilson was a third round pick, and I maybe it was just some of the teams it was like a game of chicken, or some of the teams thought like, boy, these other teams must know something we don't, so we're just gonna let it keep going. And then fifth round, yeah, that's a fall.
I mean, like Jackson Dart being taken over him, I thought was I really thought when the Giants trade up they were going to take Shador, and them taking Jackson Dart was a little puzzling to me.
Yeah,
Maybe they're trying to do the Eli Manning thing where they see the Ole Miss quarterback and they're like, oh look, it's a white guy from Ole Miss. We gotta take him. I still think I would have taken him in the second round. I think that's a perfectly fair thing to say because it is a gamble. Like I think on any of these guys, especially this year, it's more of a gamble. There's no sure things out there. It's not even close to a sure thing. Even with Cam Ward, it's not even close to a sure thing, and he's the number one pick. But I think that's a worthy gamble because you did see him at the peak of his powers at Colorado, and that's something I think that most NFL teams would be pretty happy with. And if you can get him to mature a little bit and grow into an adult where he's not needing Dion to be there at every step of the way,
right.
he could be a real quarterback in this league. And you want to take a chance on that because in this league, quarterback is king. Quarterback is the thing that makes or breaks your team.
Of course. The Browns are. I mean, they get him as a fifth round pick, and if it doesn't work out for the Browns, who are a franchise that never seem to have any luck,
it's expected to not work out with the
expected
Browns.
to not work out for every Tim Couch, Brandon Weeden, Johnny Manziel, and of course Deshaun Watson. That's not a draft thing, but just their epic failures with quarterbacks. At least
Baker.
now, what's that?
Baker too. I mean, we're seeing what Baker was able to do not in Cleveland.
Yeah, to that extent. I mean, the fact that Joe Flacco's been their one postseason quarterback other than Baker since like 2002, and but he's a fifth round pick now, so the expectations go way down, and it's not like, oh my God, the Browns completely blew it or tried to take a franchise quarterback. Now it's kind of like house money in a sense with Shador. So the expectations after what happened with Deshaun Watson are just being so low. So probably worked out great for the Browns in a sense. Really.
I think I saw that he's due $46 million if he plays a single down this year. So it would actually be in the Browns' best interest to not have him play this year, I would think.
Yeah.
I mean, you have 5 quarterbacks on the roster or 4 other quarterbacks on the roster for a reason. Quarterback by committee.
Give him a chance to compete too. I mean, you think about guys sometimes that are handed the reins, and it's a lot of pressure to be a top pick, and it's just also like, hey, it's your show because you're so talented, you can't blow this. But having a guy like Shedeur Sanders who now has been through that adversity, now he has a chance to go compete, maybe earn the starting job, and really have that chip on his shoulder that, I'm certainly not comparing him to Tom Brady you're saying he's going to be, but like you go in as a lower round draft pick and you prove a lot of people wrong. That is a very powerful tool that athletes have used throughout history to succeed.
Yeah. I want to look at just trying to look at the second round here and see who could have taken Shador in the second round. I mean, maybe you want to look at a team like, I don't know, the Miami Dolphins. Is that crazy to say? I mean, Tua has been questionable at best, and you can't really get him to stay on the field.
The great thing about the pros is you never have to worry about hurt feelings. I mean, if a player takes it that way, then that's on him. And any team that has a quarterback with, question marks, whether it's, efficiency or just injuries like Tua, like you said, I mean, it's fair game. And it doesn't always make sense sometimes why guys might take a quarterback. You might say, well, we're good at quarterback and he may never get to play. You just never know how things are going to play out in this league. So, I'm surprised. I mean,
you could look at San Francisco. I mean, Brock Purdy is a big question mark there. Right. New York, the Jets, both New York teams honestly could have used them.
Pittsburgh, right? I mean,
Pittsburgh's the big one. The Rams have him sit behind a veteran in Matt Stafford.
Yeah, there's a time, time is ticking there. I think so.
Carolina, I think they're pretty set right now. They're rolling the dice there.
Think about quarterbacks who have underperformed to this point, like a Kyler Murray, for
Yeah.
example. Talk about, okay, you have a young kid who's going to come in and try to have that chip on his shoulder to compete for the job. But how about looking at it from the other side, which is someone like Murray, like, let's light a fire under him. We're
Yeah.
showing him that, like, hey, you got to perform. This job isn't just going to be defaulted to you, because if you don't perform, we've got a young kid that we got in the second or fourth round, whatever they would have taken him. And sometimes, again, that's kind of a make or break moment for quarterbacks. Like, hey, show me that when your back is against the wall that you can get it done, or you're going to fold because your feelings are hurt that we drafted another guy behind you. So yeah, I'm surprised. Again, it's just like 32 teams, including the Browns, passed on him. It's just that the Browns only passed on him 4 times or whatever before making up their mind. That was the whole Tom Brady thing, right? He said, 30 at the time, 30 other teams passed on him. It's like, no, 31 teams passing you. It's just 6 times was a charm or whatever for New England.
Yeah.
Whatever pick.
Who was the player that wore number 32? Was that Maurice Jones-Drew? He wore 32 because all 32 teams passed on him at one point. I think it was a running back.
I'm pretty sure he wore 32. I didn't know that was why. But yes, there's a thing. It says my draft story. All 32 teams passed on him. Yeah, so I believe that is accurate. And he went on to have a really good NFL career. It was.
I love the I'm getting back at my own team by performing for that team.
Yeah, 31 might have made more sense, but
yeah. And then
Randy Moss.
I do want to talk.
He always so yeah,
that's right. True. I did want to talk about the Bears a little bit. I was curious about that first pick with Loveland. You have Tyler Warren out there, who I think was pretty much the consensus number 1 tight end on the board, and the Colts were blessed enough to grab him. I was very happy with Chris Ballard this year. I've said this before, and people have pushed back on it. I still would have liked to see them really go all in on the offensive line. That was the clear number 1 issue for Caleb Williams. I mean, it was blatant that he had absolutely no time. And I think they only took 2 offensive linemen in this draft. And I know they did sign a few guys in the off seasons, but I would have liked to see them add more young pieces to develop, because Caleb is supposed to be there for a long time. And you want to try and get these guys in here as quickly as you can, so you can either know, hey, this guy isn't going to work out, so we can focus on next year, or this guy is a piece that's going to be able to stay. Let's continue developing him here.
Yeah. I guess, are you surprised that they waited till 56 to get an O-lineman?
Yeah, I definitely thought. I mean, they took a wide receiver, which I think Keenan Allen. They're saying Keenan Allen might not be the guy there anymore. Like he may not even be in Chicago by season start. But they took Trapilo. Sorry, I have been like a little tapped out of the draft too. And then Luke Newman from Michigan State. But no, I mean, they took a defensive tackle, a linebacker, a cornerback, and then a running back in the 7th round. So they waited a little too long, I think, to address that issue.
I think so, but I like that they went all offense with their first 3 picks. They waited till pick number 4.
They did.
And the truth is, they get 4 picks in the first 2 rounds alone. So I think no matter what, I think they had to get a defensive player in there. I can't just put it all towards Caleb Williams, but then they go, they went defense with their next 3 picks. And then, going late with another O-lineman as far as kind of a depth add, I'm fine with just the idea of you're beefing up your offense. Like you're saying, hey, this is year 2. This is a big step forward year. Like your rookie, the rookie honeymoon or whatever is over. So I like that the Bears did that. I like that they addressed their offense with the first 3 picks, and they had that cushion built in because of having the 4 picks. So again, they're a flawed football team across the board. You don't go whatever they were 5-12 just because of your quarterback or because of one area of the team. You can always upgrade anywhere on your roster. But I like what they did. I like that they addressed. They went with 2 weapons. I mean, they didn't. Okay, yeah, they probably could have gone higher on their board with offensive line, but they get a tight end, they get a receiver. Because if Keenan Allen is there or not, I still don't know if he's a true top target for Caleb Williams at this point in his career.
Yeah. And then the final story that's been dominating football for the past few days, Bill Belichick and his lady Have you ever seen someone just completely ruin their public image so quickly? I don't think there's been a positive thing that has come out about this woman. I'm not even saying that in a hateful way. I'm just saying that in a observation of, look at how much people hate this woman right off the bat. I mean, she got Hard Knocks kicked out. Like, Hard Knocks was like, we don't want anything to do with Bill Belichick, and at a college, like a college program, and Bill Belichick, they want nothing to do with that just because of her. This is elder abuse? There has to be something going on. I saw someone say in that, with that shirt that he wore on the CBS interview, they said that she is just it's a very sexual joke. She's servicing him so much he doesn't even care about his clothing anymore. Which that's just Bill. We all know Bill.
I have no idea. I haven't really, I watched Stavi, who's like a Baltimore icon, on Julian Edelman's podcast, and I thought that was a great watch because he just tore Edelman and the Patriots to shreds, and Edelman just sat there and took it instead of these guests who come on and kiss his butt, say I love you, Patriots, and they try to, and Stavi didn't hold back, and he likened Bill Belichick to Robert De Niro's character in Dirty Grandpa, and I thought that was great. But I think it's a lot of peanut butter and jealousy. I mean, the guy's in his 70s and he's dating an attractive
24.
What
24.
What they expected? She's like, she's like a 24-year-old, with the wisdom of a 72-year-old. I mean, come on. He's living what he thinks is his best life. There are a lot of 72-year-olds out there who, whether they're widowed or single or whatever, or just miserably married, that wish they could be doing. Beyond that, I don't know. Look, I kind of feel like, do you get the sense that the same way we've seen a lot of players sort of let loose after being under the constraints of the Patriot way for so long, that Bill Belichick's actually coming out of the constraints of his own kind of like, self-created Patriot way with, he coached there for 24 years. He won 6 Super Bowls. He went to 3 more, I think. The guy, he's not tarnishing his legacy. I mean, maybe unless he, goes winless 3 straight years.
No, I don't think that's tarnishing his legacy whatsoever. I think it makes him look a little, in the probably the lack of a better term, just a little bit more of like a doofus. You know what I mean? Like he's out here. He's kind of letting this girl control what he's doing. I mean, you have her saying, he's in the interview, he's clearly someone who can handle himself in the media. We know he can. And she's butting into that interview saying, we're not talking about that. We're not talking about how we met, which is bizarre in itself. Why would you? That's a very common story for couples to tell. And this is a grown man. He's a grown man who can handle himself. Again, it's not really our place to judge, but they're doing it in the media, so we are going to judge. It's weird as a Colts fan, and I'm sure as a Ravens fan, we do kind of enjoy it. Like the downfall of like, wow, the Patriots. Who would have thought 15 years ago that this would be Bill Belichick? Now,
yeah, he was actually accused of being adulterous. There was a staffer with the Giants when he was there. There was a story that came out a while back. Nothing gained the kind of attention it does now because this was more before the social media era, and he had been divorced. There were stories about how he was and as a person, as a coach, but nothing quite like this. I'm not shocked, and I don't know, I haven't had a chance to see that interview. Apparently they were asked how they met, which seems like a very innocuous question, and I think Belichick already covered that they met on a plane and asked her about the book she was reading, and he signed it and he put the years that he won the Super Bowl. Like
that was hilarious.
Yeah, like a shameless plug. It was like when I saw Jim Nantz, he quoted himself. I mean, like some of these guys are really full of themselves.
You have to be. I actually don't blame these guys who are like that. You kind of have to be in that situation.
It's a nice touch. I mean, look, flex it if you got it. I mean, whatever. Like, it's not a big deal. I don't know. I gotta go back and watch. But yeah, I mean, he's out there. He's still being a good analyst. I think he has a lot to offer as a former coach. He's got great insights, I think. And he just has the utmost respect in the football world. So whatever happens in this other stuff, it's just, to me, it's just like outside noise.
Yeah. It's just so funny thinking back on Bill Belichick 10 years ago. There's like I think the Simpsons or the Family Guy spoof of him, and he looks like Emperor Palpatine. And now when you think of him, there's a little bit less. There's a little bit of light coming under that hood, right? I think there is.
Yeah. Yeah. Apparently she's got a lot of money in real estate too.
Yeah, I saw that $8 million.
Yeah.
Good for her,
Crazy.
man. Good for her.
Hmm.
Hit the jackpot. All right, let's jump into baseball this week. It was another good week of ball. Let's go into your player of the week. Who's your player of the week?
Oh man, I don't really want to give it to Aaron Judge again, but it's hard to ignore the fact that he's hitting 427 with 10 homers. It's crazy. I'll tell you who had a big week though, and it's as if it's not sickening enough that I have to give it to a Yankee last week. I'm probably going to give it to a Dodger this week because Andy Pages, I think he was 10 for 11 on that homestand, was up until the Marlins, and then he's just putting up insanely good numbers, and that's just what we need, right? Him and Teoscar Hernandez both on absolute burners right now, and this is at a time when, Ohtani's not quite doing what he did last year. Betts is recovering from an illness, so he's had a slow start. Freeman's just starting to get it going, but imagine if Pages and Hernandez hit. Oh my God! So I would.
But that's the infuriating thing about the Dodgers is that when the superstars aren't hitting, oh look, there's more superstars.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think look at the lineup of the starting nine or usual starting nine. Only two of those guys were drafted. Pages is one of them. Will Smith's the other. The free agents, or you call Mookie Betts a trade, but to me, you're giving the 13-year extension. That's a free agent. Yeah. Ohtani, Betts, Freeman, Teoscar Hernandez. Even guys like Muncy. He's been there a long time. They brought back Kike Hernandez, Teoscar. Last year was a free agent. He signs again. It is infuriating. It is. I admit that. And Pages is a guy, you've watched him. He came highly touted as a prospect out of Cuba and kind of, slow to get going last year, but had a couple big moments. I was at Game 5. He had 2 homers, even in a loss to the Mets. He had an insane.
He wasn't a part of the Mookie deal, was he?
No,
he wasn't. Okay.
Always a Dodger.
For some reason, I feel he kind of sounds like he would have been a Red Sox in our organization. For some reason, there's sometimes just those names that sound like it.
But can we give a shout out to the co-player of the week, Eugenio Suarez, who had 4 homers in a game, only the 19th player in history and only the 3rd to do it in a losing effort.
Yeah, crazy. I'm going Jorge Polanco. 5 homers, 12 ribbies, batting .529 this week. Over 200 or over 2,000 OPS. Holy shit. This guy's fucking raking right now. And my team of the week, I guess that'll join together, is the Seattle Mariners. They're on a 4-game win streak right now. They're 8-2 in their last 10. They've won 6 of their last 7. And they're 2 games up on Houston for first place in the AL West. The one thing though, we do this every year with the Mariners where there's like that couple weeks where they hit a good stride and you think maybe this is the year, and then it's not the year. But I'm going to give them their flowers this week because they were one of the best teams this week.
Yeah, and in what universe do we live in that 2 Mariners in a row have won the offensive player of the week or whatever you call it? Dylan Moore last week, Jorge Polanco this week. Polanco was awful last year. They thought he would be a big contributor. To me, if the Mariners even are like a middle of the pack offense, they will win that division. But obviously the Logan Gilbert injury, the forearm tightness, that's very ominous. They're waiting on George Kirby to come back. They have the pitching, in my opinion, but I just can't get over the fact that on June 18th last year, they led the Astros by 10 games. And within like 3 weeks, they were 5 back. It was some kind of historic, there had never been a swing that great in such a short period of time. So they've just, and it's got to be infuriating for the Mariners as a fan, because they've had so many years where they're just good enough to be in it, but not get in.
Yeah. They are the least trustworthy team. That's why I said what I said. I think I had to preface it, or not preface it, but just say, hey, remember, this is not a trustworthy organization, not even a team, not a trustworthy organization to play consistently good baseball. But we're going to give them their flowers while they have it. They took 2 of 3 from the Red Sox. That was more of the big series. And then they swept the Marlins. Or no, I'm sorry, they did not sweep the Marlins. They took 2 of 3 from the Marlins, who have been sliding. But I want to hear your team of the week.
It's not the Marlins, in case you're wondering.
Definitely not.
Team of the week. There have been a few teams on heaters. I would have to say, you kind of got me on the Mariners. I don't want to say the Dodgers because even though they won 5 straight, it was over the Tiger. I'm sorry, the Pirates and the Marlins. And I don't want to say the Phillies because it was kind of inevitable that they'd bounce back. And they've won 4 straight. So I got to go with the Royals. Winners of 9 of 10. They weren't hitting, but now they just swept the Rays. They're getting the offense going. It's kind of like the same thing with the Mariners. Like, they're going to probably pitch well. They're going to play good defense. They've got a solid bullpen. Can they hit? Can they score runs? They're on a tear right now. They're only 2.5 games out of first, and they're beating the teams that they're supposed to beat: the Rockies, the Rays. They're right there in the AL Central.
I think last week they were our bum ass team of the week too.
Team of the week, yeah.
So what a flip! What a flip! Good for the Royals. To my bum ass player of the week, I'm gonna go with a Toronto Blue Jay. The Red Sox are playing the Toronto Blue Jays. They walked us off last night. Liam Hendricks, awesome that he came back. Dealing with cancer and recovered and came back. Mm-hmm. He has not been good. He has been pretty fucking awful. They came back down 6-0 last night, won it in the 10th. But I'm going with George Springer. 188 in the last seven games, 4 strikeouts, a 250 slugging, and 600 OPS. Has not been good for George Springer. I mean, I feel like it just hasn't been good for him in Toronto. Overall, this has been incredibly underwhelming, but especially this week, it was not good.
Well, and he was one of my players of the week a few weeks ago when he got off to a great start. You could probably double down with the Jays and go with Anthony Santander, who's at 175. And he's got 4 homers, but I knew, and I was like, I'm glad the Orioles didn't pay him that kind of money that he was seeking because he is an all or nothing guy. Yes, he had good power numbers last year with 44, 45 home runs, whatever he had. I'm going to go my bum player of the week because I've had a chance to watch some of their games and he just looks cooked, and that's Josh Bell. Second worst average among qualified hitters. He just isn't there. He just isn't a starting caliber player, and yet the Nats keep running him out there. 137 average, 503 OPS. I mean, yeah, he's got 4 homers, but worse off than Santander. He just looks totally lost, strikes out a lot, a lot of swings and misses. I don't know. The Nats brought him back hoping that he could rediscover something and, that he had in his time there, but he just, and the Nats, they had a couple of rousing wins against the Mets, 2 awesome comeback win at the bottom of the 9th moments against the Mets. And then they had a grueling loss the other night against the Phillies where they came back, took the lead only to blow it in the bottom of the 9th. So yeah, they need more guys in their lineup to step up. And Josh Bell right now is just dead weight.
Yeah. Yeah. I am going to go, sorry. I don't know why I lost my train of thought there. Bum ass team of the week. I already mentioned them. It's the Miami Marlins. It's not good. Not good all week. 5 straight losses, 8.5 games back of first now. I think last week they were middle of the pack, right? They were sitting in like 3rd place. They were doing okay, and they have just really tanked it. They did have a tough stretch of games. I think they had the Dodgers and the Mariners.
The Mariners and the Dodgers, yeah. That'll turn you into a bum.
Yeah, but my overall on the season, minus 51 run differential, it just feels like looking at them, it looks like a different team than last week.
Yeah, that run differential, that's the number that sticks out. It's the second worst, bested only by worsted, if you will, but only by the Rockies. And mine would be the Angels. Losers of 5 straight, 2-8 in their last 10. Worst run differential, second worst run differential in the American League, proudly behind the Orioles. People thought the Angels, and myself included, thought they'd be a little more competitive this year. I mean, I didn't really expect them to do much, but they're kind of, I think it's kind of like law of averages. These teams that aren't that good, they get off to good starts. They go on the road, they get swept by the Twins. I mean, they previously lost 2 or 3 to the Pirates. They get swept by the Mariners. So the Mariners did what they had to do, Marlins and Angels. So they've turned both of these teams into bum-ass teams of the week, I guess. But the Mike Trout, now dealing with a knee issue, the numbers. I mean, he's got 9 homers, but he's hitting 179. I mean, this just isn't, Yeah, he's giving them some power. Yes, the Angels have been hitting surprising number of home runs. They just don't hit for average. I mean, right? They've got guys under 200. I mean, Trout at 179, Taylor Ward at 189, Rengifo at 233. And Kikuchi being 0-4. I mean, they gave him money. He pitched really well in that division last year for Houston when they brought him over. It's been that to me has been as big a disappointment besides Trout is that he has not performed.
Yeah, you would hope maybe you could give him he would be that consistency factor that you're looking for,
Right.
on a team with just no consistency. But I think it's just the Angel has infected him more than that Los Angeles Angel way has infected him a little bit.
Yeah, and it's again, the Angels are tied for sixth in home runs, but they have the third worst, tied for second worst batting average. Again, with the White Sox and only above the Rockies. So it's kind of playing out the way it has in many previous seasons for the Angels.
Yeah. And then my surprise player of the week, I'm going Michael Lorenzen, the Kansas City Royals. I think he's had 2 starts, 12 innings pitched, 2 wins, 1.5 ERA, a 1.25 WHIP, 2 earned runs total. He's been twirling it well, and you can clearly tell those results. The Royals won your player or team of the week.
Yeah. Lorenzen was a nice addition. I believe they brought him in last year at the deadline No, sorry, he was with the Rangers. He was brought in as a free agent this year. Let's get Michael Lorenzen back to being a TWP, right? A two-way player. I mean, he was a good hitter. He was like playing the outfield in Cincinnati and all that. So yeah, I'm going to go with a guy that's been really heating up. Of course, I went with a current Dodger. Now I'm going with a former Dodger. How about Gavin Lux? He took the collar 0-for-7 in the doubleheader yesterday, but had 3 multi-hit games in a row. Before that, he's hit 341 in the month of April. I think the Reds brought him in kind of like not a reclamation project. He's still young, but you saw a lot of flashes of what he could do in LA. I don't think that they could have expected him to put up the kind of numbers that he has. But he's been great. 317 on the year. Yeah, he's not giving him any power with just the 1 homer, but he's got an 836 OPS nonetheless. So I think he's continued to be a surprise, and the Reds have sort of very quietly, kind of worked their way up the standings there in the Central. I still think the Cubs are the team to beat, certainly, but that steady hand of Terry Francona, they're over 500 right now. They're 16-15, and it's because of guys like Lux, who maybe they didn't expect a lot from, and because they're not getting anything from Spencer Steer. I mean, he's been a disappointment, so they need somebody to kind of offset that, and Lux has been that guy.
Well, I think that Tito hire was really good. Honestly, a lot of people even forgot that it happened. I know a lot of people were like, "Oh, Tito's still coaching," including me. I think in like February, I saw something that said Tito's here at spring training. I was like, "Oh shit, he's back." But that steady, that he's such a steady mind. He's very consistent, and sometimes with those organizations again, who have a lot of movement and they're not really steady, you need something like that, a consistent leader, and he's exactly what that is.
Right. Yeah. And if you look at it, I mean, since Dusty Baker over a decade ago, I've not been a fan of their previous managers. I mean, they had Brian Price, who just wasn't the right guy. They had Jim Riggleman for half a season or 2/3 of a season, but David Bell, it just never felt like culturally they had the right guy since Dusty. Yeah. And obviously Dusty had a lot of success there with the Reds. They won the 2 division titles in 10 and 12, went to the playoffs in 13. So I think you're right. It was a good fit. Francona, he gets to stay in state from where he was, Cleveland, and kind of, veteran managers more than anything, they just bring accountability too. I mean, they bring that steady presence, but they bring guys. You have a veteran manager, and Francona's won a couple of championships and been to another World Series. It's guys just they want to do well, because they know that the level of expectations are raised, and so maybe we're seeing that effect here early on.
Yeah. Let's get a Baltimore Orioles check-in.
It took a series. I mean, it was huge. They got outscored by 10 runs in the series, but they won 2 one-run games in spite of shakiness on Monday of Gregory Soto. They had a Levon Soto, and they've just scraped by in that series, but it was big for them. It was big because they were coming off the heels of being swept in Detroit, and they didn't look good doing it. And to me, the biggest revelation these last couple wins has been how dominant Felix Bautista has looked. I think getting him back to the form he was in before he got hurt, because he was a little shaky in the beginning, which makes sense. He hadn't been on a mound, since like August of 23. Getting his command back, he threw an absolutely disgusting sinker to strike out Aaron Judge on Monday night. I thought that was one of the nastiest pitches I've ever seen. He was perfect, just looks like that guy. So that, for me, was big. The bullpen was actually great last night, picking up Cade Povich. Mountcastle kind of got going. He's still under 200. I still feel like the Orioles are too reliant on the home run, and they need a couple guys to get going. Henderson's at 228. Rutschman starting to hit. He's up to 222, and I say up to because he was really slumping. And obviously, look, they got to tread water right now because they're without their three best pitchers. Grayson Rodriguez out for a while. Bradish going to be out till late in the year at best, and Eflin is still working his way back. So they're hanging in there. I would just say it was almost felt like a must-win series for the Orioles, and they came through, and they're still, even though they're in last place, they're only 5.5 games behind the Yankees right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Red Sox wise, Jaron Duran had a straight steal at home.
Yes, that was awesome.
Which was amazing. Most exciting play in baseball.
Ellsbury did it back in the day, yeah.
Yeah, I think it was like 16 years. Someone told me it was to the day. I don't think it was 16, or was it to the day? It was
in April on a Sunday night, or
it's definitely it was a night game. I know it was a night game. I think it might have been Sunday Night Baseball.
Yeah, it was against Andy Pettitte, I think.
Yeah, we didn't do it against Andy Pettitte this time. wasn't a player, I guess to that same tier. But listen, it's the most exciting play in baseball, and this Red Sox team again, they're kind of treading water. You want to see those bigger guys starting to hit, and they are starting to hit. Trevor Story did struggle in Cleveland, but you have sorry, I gotta look back here. Bregman has been on fire the past couple of days. Christian Campbell still doing his thing. Again, the same thing with Tristan Casas. He's not feeling it right now, and it's getting to a point where even his defense has been a little iffy. There was a couple plays, especially in the Cleveland series, that you would have liked to see him make that he just couldn't make, and you're getting into that mindset of maybe it is time to get rid of him. Maybe it is time to just trade him, and you're going to bring up not Romy Gonzalez. I don't know why I'm blanking right now on the Red Sox. Just blanking on all my guys right now. But no, it's been all right. I think you're expecting a lot more out of this team, and it's May 1st now. This is when you hit that go button. This is when you say, let's go, let's get moving. But I'm pretty happy. If you told me they're going to be 17 and 15 by the end of April, considering, I don't know, I think there was high expectations, but there was kind of that iffy thought of what if we don't see what we expect out of any of these guys. And I think some guys are performing above expectations. Rafael Devers is relaxing a little more, which is really the thing that encourages me about the future of this team, this year, is that he's relaxing. He's getting relaxed. You see him laying around on the dugout, like just laying on the field when he's, when the Red Sox are on the field, or just when he's waiting to bat, because he's just having fun again. And that's what you want to see more than anything. So I'm encouraged. I'd say I'm still encouraged. Yankees, they're 18 and 13. Are they going to keep this up?
They're not going to keep it up with the insane statistical numbers and home runs that they're hitting. I'm sorry. They're not that good. They're a good team. They are a good team. And right now I call them the favorite to win the East. But it's, I think also for the Red Sox, you got to be happy with Giolito coming back, his first game back in a long time. Yeah. And he gives a quality start. It's the same exact 3-run, 6 innings that Tony Gonsolin gave the Dodgers in his first start since coming back from Tommy John. And Bregman's having an awesome year, so that looks actually like money well spent so far. Granted, it's only been a month. Chapman's got an ERA of 1.59. I wouldn't have expected.
I think he hit 103 the other day on Saturday night. I think he hit 103.
Yeah, if he's gunning it, there's a lot to like about the Red Sox. the Jays got off to this great start, and they're coming back to earth. I really do wish the Orioles had signed Jeff Hoffman, though. He failed the physical, and he's putting up brilliant numbers for Toronto so far, and so that one's disappointing. But
I think you're going to see a big switch when Roman Anthony comes up from AAA. That's going to be the big one, and you're going to have to find a spot for him, though. That's the big deal. Is you got to find a spot for him on this team, and I mean, are you going to get rid of Rafaela? Are you going to say goodbye to Casas? Are you going to say I've kind of floated the idea of Durant? His value is pretty high right now, but I don't know if I love that. He seems like a real Red Sox guy, and I think that would kill a lot of this energy.
Yeah, but it was a tough loss last night. I mean, blowing a 6-run lead, that's not easy to do. The Mets did it, and they're having a great year. They did it to the Nationals, so it happens. But in a year where it's going to be a tight race with the Yankees probably at the top, those are the ones you can't afford to let get away.
Yeah, you're going to look back on that and definitely be frustrated, I'd say.
Yeah.
All right, let's go through the weekend series real quick, and then we'll get out of here. Let's start with Nats and Reds.
Yeah, the Reds kind of, like I said, are quietly ascending, and they broke out the bats today after a rough doubleheader yesterday, so they're going to come in with, I think, a little bit of momentum. And the Nats, man, the grueling losses for them. They know they have such a thin margin for error. So, can they bounce back, and can the Reds just do what they need to do and beat these teams that they should be?
Yeah. Pirates, Padres in Pittsburgh.
Well, no Paul Skeens because he went today, gave up 3 homers in the 5th inning. It's in Pittsburgh. Padres are 5-7 on the road. We know they're 14-4 at home, and the Pirates are just pirating again. I mean, so it's gonna be a tough series without Skeens. But the Padres have to prove they can win on the road, and these are the series that, like, okay, yeah, you had a good homestand. You had a tough home series against the Rays, then you came back, swept the Giants in a short series, and it's like, okay, but can you win away from Petco Park where you're only 5-7?
Yeah. Diamondbacks, Phillies.
Diamondbacks just put Justin Martinez on the IL. AJ Puck's going to be out a while. Their bullpen's kind of in shambles right now. But they just took 2 of 3 from the Mets at Citi Field. Phillies have been hot. Maybe they're due to lose a couple. Remember when these teams played a 7-game NLCS 2 years ago? Seems like ages ago. I want to see if Diamondbacks can kind of swing back because they're in 4th place. They're still in 4th place despite being 17-14. They're a good team. They're a resilient team. They need to be able to weather that storm that they're going through with their bullpen right now.
Royals, Orioles. They just played like 2 weeks ago?
They played this year. I don't know if it was 2 weeks ago. And I don't know why, but the Royals are just in the Orioles' heads. It's that Baltimore-Kansas City thing. I want some payback on that team. And the Royals, as I said, they've been insanely hot right now. They've won 9 of 10, and the Orioles kind of treading water. They're only 3-7 in their last 10. They just, like, the rotation, when it's bad, it is so bad. When their starting pitching is bad, Sugano's been kind of the one guy, and their bullpen has done a good job. But can they keep the Royals off the board? And can their big guys get it going? I mean, this is like, we're a month into the season. Enough of Rutschman and Henderson hitting in the 220s, Mountcastle hitting under 200. I mean, if the Orioles don't get production from these guys, even mid-tier teams like the Royals are going to give them trouble.
Yeah, definitely. They did play 3rd series of the year.
Yeah.
Rays, Yankees. This is a home series for the Yankees. I mean, it's always a home series for the Yankees when they play the Rays this year.
Yeah. Well, the Rays are in a weird trajectory right now. They swept a series in San Diego against a Padres team that had been 12-1 at home at the time, and then they come home and they get swept by the Royals. So maybe being on the road actually feels more natural for the Rays this year. They had a tough series against the Yankees a week or so ago. They lost 3 out of 4, and that one win was that 8-4 in the 9th inning comeback. So this, again, if the Rays want to be serious about contending in the East, this is a series that they have to take.
Yeah. Guards, Blue Jays in Toronto.
Andre Jimenez against his old team. Guards playing well. Nobody noticed, but they're 17-13. They're only a game and a half behind the Tigers.
Yeah.
Jays 2-8 in their last 10. Guardians Guardians are 4 games over 500 with a minus 25 run differential. Jays 2 games under with a minus 34 run differential. We'll see how this plays out.
Should tell you everything you need to know about the Guardians.
Yeah.
Twins, Red Sox, and Boston. This Twins team, I'm glad they're not even going to make us sweat having to watch them lose in the playoffs. So they're just not going to get there.
Yeah. Funny. They're 13 and 18 with a +5 differential for whatever that's worth. They were playing better. That helps that they swept the Angels. Yeah. I mean, the Red Sox, again, like, if you're going to compete in that division, you better beat teams like the Twins, who are just.
You should take two out of three should be the standard, I think, in series like this.
You know how I feel about the Twins. I'm like as disgusted with them as I am with the Dodgers, just because of their continual reluctance to just sort of start over.
And especially with a team like the Rays going into New York, the Rays play the Yankees tough. The Red Sox really want to take hopefully all three and either gain some ground or jump the Yankees if possible. Sure. Athletics, Marlins. They're playing this series. They are going to play games in this series.
I mean, we can't ignore the fact that the A's are up 3-0 today. If they hold on and beat the Rangers, they will be 17 and 15 through 32 games. They will be 2 games behind the Mariners for first place. Again, if you believe in run differential, they're minus 28 going into today. But they are, I mean, maybe getting out of Oakland was all they needed to do. But Jeffrey Springs pitching great today. I mean, Severino, they gave him that big contract. It's like he's the guy you give the biggest contract in franchise history to. Well, they're getting some big power numbers from Tyler Soderstrom and Brent Rooker. And pitching-wise, again, like guys like Severino, J.P. Sears, Springs giving him a good effort today. We know they've got a great closer in Mason Miller. Like, the A's are not a pushover. I'm not saying that they're going to finish with a winning record, but right now they're just flying under the radar, having fun playing ball. And if they can do what they need to do against the slumping Marlins team, shoot, I mean, we could be looking at the first place A's by the end of the weekend. I mean,
I love to see that.
I would
playoff baseball in Sacramento would be sacrilegious.
And the thing that I hate the most about the A's is Jenny Cavnar, and this has nothing to do with the fact that she's a woman. I think it's great that there is.
Oh, she's a horrible announcer,
but she is insufferable. And Glenn Kuiper made a huge mistake. What he said, he dropped a racial slur on the air, whether he intended to or not. The fact that his career ended over it is pretty drastic. He was one of my favorite broadcasters. He was. I actually, for that reason, enjoyed staying up watching A's games. It is hard to watch her, and I don't know if they're trying to prove a point. Some people speculated they did it because they just wanted the A's to suffer or something until they go to Vegas, but it's brutal. I have to mute the calls. Just watch the highlights without it. It's just she's a disaster.
Who's the guy? Probably one of the most famous ones with the Castellanos thing. What's his? I forgot his name.
Yeah.
Well, he was announcing college football this year.
Yeah, I don't know if. I mean, my guess is the A's would never employ Glenn Kuiper again, but I would hope that he would resurface. I mean, I don't know if he did it intentionally or he just had a slip of the tongue. Whatever. It was a bad moment. Again, he didn't go out and assault anyone or kill anyone. I think it's if he serves his time or whatever, let's get him back on the air. Now, the other A's announcer, and I don't know if he's doing games this year, is Chris Carey, who's the son of Skip Carey or grandson of Skip Carey and son of Chip Carey. Too many Careys. But he's a very competent announcer, comes from an actual announcing lineage, and I don't know why he's not getting more games.
Yeah, she did not make me want to watch A's games. There should not be clips of her going viral of just how bad it is. Right.
I think that's
there are plenty of great female announcers and female journalists out there, but she is not one of them.
All for that. You got to have one who knows what she's doing.
Yeah. I mean, you hear her go, and there's a long fly ball, and it's going to carry, and it's gone.
Yeah,
it's a home run. There's just no life. You don't hear life out of her.
Well, and I have a big problem with Michael Kay because he never seems to know when the ball's going anywhere. But go back and watch Lawrence Butler's grand slam last night, the ninth inning that basically put the game on ice for the A's. That was just, you would have thought Lawrence Butler had a sacrifice fly. And we're talking about a game, basically a game sealing grand slam, and she had no idea what was happening.
Yeah.
So,
to a big series here, Dodgers Braves. Braves are starting to find it a little more. They're starting to play a little bit better ball. And you have a big test with the Dodgers.
Sorry, you lost you for a second. Braves Dodgers? Yeah, the Braves, I mean, they finally got it going. They did lose the finale, but they still took the series from the Rockies. And obviously, the Braves still have every reason to believe that they're in it and they're going to compete this year, even though they're still under 500 after that 0-7 start. No Ronald Acuna. You'd love to see him in this series on the same field as Shohei, because those two guys, I don't think, got a chance to play against each other. Maybe they did last year, but this is huge for the Braves, because at 14-16, they're looking up right now at the Mets and the Phillies, and you got the Dodgers coming in, and you had a series win against Arizona, you had a series win against Colorado. You've done what you needed to do now to put yourself in a position, and now you've got the Dodgers at 21-10, and they're going to get Yamamoto and Sasaki in this series, if I'm not mistaken. I have to look, but this is a massive test for the Braves. To me, this may tell me whether the Braves are going to get back in it or not. Even though it's one series, like, I want to see if this team, as it is right now, can stack up with the best in the National League. Because you and I had said going into the year, we thought the Braves might be the team with the best chance to unseat the Dodgers in the National League, and it certainly has not looked that way through the first month or so of the season.
Yeah, you have Yamamoto, Sasaki, and then May going for the Dodgers.
That's a tough draw.
Yeah, really tough. White Sox and Astros. Astros will win the series. I'm going to confirm that right now.
Yeah, White Sox got one game in both series last year against Houston. It's annoying. Houston has clawed its way right back in it at 16-14. That division is one that no one's running away with right now. The Rangers are slumping big time. We thought they would be the favorite. And now Houston gets Chicago, and they're on the heels of a series win against Detroit. I mean, the only thing I could say nice about the White Sox is at 8-23, they're not the worst team in baseball right now.
They are not. They are not the worst team in baseball.
Worst team in the American League, but they're not the worst team in baseball.
Yeah. Mariners, Rangers, big series for the West.
Yes. Right now, Texas is really slumping, and I know that Bruce Bochy, he's never a guy you worry too much what the final numbers look like in the regular season. He's always a guy that you just say his team just needs to get to the postseason. But right now, they're not inspiring any confidence, and they're about to lose a series here to the A's. And now you've got the hottest team in the American League coming in your division. And it feels like if the Rangers don't win this series, that all of a sudden you're kind of like, I mean, what is it? They're 2.5 games apart. I mean, not that even a sweep is going to like knock the Rangers out, but it starts to feel like do the Rangers start to panic a little bit? Do they start to say we're not really the team that's separating itself in this division? And then this is an opportunity for the Mariners to sort of show like, we're not just hot right now. We're a good team, and we're better than this Texas team. So this is a big series for sure. And for the Rangers, I mean, there's a lot more pressure on them right now going into this. And no Corey
Cubs Brewers.
And that hurts. Yeah.
That's true. Cubs Brewers, big battle for first place.
Yeah, another one where the Brewers have come right back. They had that brutal 0-4 start where they gave up a zillion runs, and now they're at 500, and they're finishing up a series right now with the White Sox. The Cubs, like, I look at the Cubs record, I'm like, yeah, 19-13, solid, but doesn't it feel like they're like 25-7 or something? I mean, they've been so
well. They had a little bit of a rough start. They definitely started a little slow.
Well, they did. Yeah, they lost the 2 games in Japan, so obviously right off the bat they were in that hole. But guess what? They came back and won the season series from the Dodgers. They finished 4-3 against the Dodgers, so they won 4 or 5 after that. I know the Dodgers were a little banged up, but still, yeah, the Cubs, they've been so much fun to watch. They're hitting a ton of homers, pitching. How about Drew Pomeranz becoming a guy in the bullpen, former Red Sox Drew Pomeranz in the Cubs bullpen? They're doing this without Justin Steele. Tucker, what a great addition he's been. Suzuki's having a great year. You've got PCA breaking out this year. Swanson's looking like the guy they gave that money to. The Cubs are an exciting team, and this is their chance to flex their muscle because the Brewers, in my opinion, are the one team that, I mean, the Reds, again, we don't know for sure, but right now I would say the Brewers are the biggest threat to the Cubs.
Mets, Cardinals.
Yeah, this the Mets, look, they inevitably have had to come back to earth a little bit. They've lost like 4 of 7, but they still have the best record in baseball. Well, second best technically right now behind the Dodgers. 21-11. The Cardinals are 14-18. They're just hanging in. This has got to be a get-right series for the Mets. It's got to be.
Yeah. This is a series you have to win if you're going to be a first place team consistently throughout the year. Tigers, Angels.
Ditto.
Yes, right? Exact same analysis.
Tigers lost 2 of 3 to the Astros. It's not the end of the world, right? They salvaged the finale, but now they've got Scooble going tomorrow in the opener of that series. As I said, the Angels have been sliding big time. This is one of those moments too. You're not just playing a bad team, but you're playing a bad team at the right time. It's really sliding. So the Tigers, because they're starting to get some heat from the Guardians and from the Royals in the AL Central. So all of a sudden it's like, yeah, they're whatever, 19-12, great start, but there's all of a sudden like a sense of urgency now because they had some separation, they had some breathing room, and then these two teams have gotten hot. And so now you've got to take the series from the Angels.
Yeah. And then Giants, Rockies. Just
same thing again, right? The Giants they got to come back to earth a little bit. The Padres were coming off being swept, and they just caught them at the wrong time where they needed to bounce back, and the Giants kind of overachieved to this.
All right. Well, that's a good place to wrap up. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Go check out Spring Hill Sports. Their episode should be releasing. Either should be out right now or within a few hours. But again, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and we will see you next week.